Look, I'm not proud of this. I'm not your hero. I'm not your role model. I'm not even the guy you want to sit next to at a dinner party. I'm the nosy neighbor, the one with a lawn chair, a cheap IPA, and an excellent ear for other people's business. And I live next door to the most chaotic show on earth, Jeff and Jen. I tried to fight it. I tried to call the cops. I tried to be an upstanding member of society. But friend, the drama called me like sirens on a cliff. And here I sit, a willing shipwreck, every night at 8:03. The first thing you gotta understand about my neighborhood is that it's nice. Like, electric SUVs parked diagonally because yoga ran long nice. HOA email threads about mailbox fonts nice. We have the kind of block parties where someone brings artisanal hummus and two different kinds of gluten. And then, like a glitch in the simulation, there's the in-law apartment over my neighbor's three-car garage. Not my garage, my neighbor's. His garage backs right up against my yard. And in that little apartment, the universe tucked away its favorite unruly sitcom, Jeff and Jen. Now, Jeff and Jen, those are not their real names, obviously. Their real names feel like they come from a county fair where a generator exploded. But Jeff fits, and Jen fits, and the pair of them together are a kind of ongoing weather event. A long, slow thunderstorm that forgets what time it is. Two barstools that got up and learned how to argue. The apartment sits just past a thin screen of trees. Enough leaves to pretend we have privacy. Not enough leaves to prevent sound travel. And sound, God bless sound, does not mind a few branches. Most nights, Jeff and Jen do what Jeff and Jen do best. They marinate outdoors. It's a lot of drinking. A lot of God knows what. I am not a chemist. But whatever the cocktail, it comes with a predictable schedule, casual chatter, playful jab, petty grievance, catastrophe. I used to hate it. Actually hate it. I'm an anxious person by default. I try to get 10 hours of sleep and I Google my symptoms like it's a competitive sport. So when, at 2 a.m., the world erupts with "you always do this," and you never believed me, I go into apocalypse mode. I called the cops a few times. You know how it goes. Hi. This is, hi. I'd just like to report a noise disturbance. I'd stand there at my kitchen window, lights off like a cheap spy, watching a squad car roll by, take a slow look, do nothing, keep moving. I learned the rules. Unless someone's hit someone, unless something tangible has broken, the volume knob on your life is basically your business. And they figured out it was me. Of course they did. There's always that moment when you're like, I'm invisible, and you're absolutely not. After one spectacular Saturday night blowout, I'm at work the next afternoon and my Ring camera pings. Later, I rewind and there it is, Jeff and Jen's dog, and stressed little sausage with a mission, trotting into my yard like the world's worst Grubhub driver and delivering a steaming middle finger right on top of my marigolds. A message was sent and received. That was the pivot point. I stopped trying to fix the chaos. I embraced it. I made peace with the thunderstorm. I went from citizen concerned to patio cryptid. And that was when my evenings transformed. It's not TV. It's not radio. It's theater in the park, except the park is my deck. The stage is a mosquito-infested driveway, and the actors don't know there's a stage. I don't encourage it. I don't feed it. But when it starts, I lean back and I listen. Jeff presents like a man who's been in a perpetual shrug since 2008. His voice is permanently stuck in, I'm fine, babe mode, even when he's not. He's got that slurred cadence where every sentence starts with a denial. I didn't tea. I wasn't. I ain't. I'm just. and then trails off into the low hum of a refrigerator. He is a man of great principle in theory and no calendar in practice. Jen is the opposite. She's kinetic. If Jeff is a dying battery, Jen is a sparkler you threw in a trash can. You can always tell when Jen is working on a new era. There's a tone she gets, a zealot's tone, a TED Talk tone. She is forever turning over a new leaf. She has turned the same leaf over so many times that it's just pulp. But when she's in that mode, my God, it's better than Netflix. Jen is a bumper sticker that learned how to scream. She is a Pinterest board of revenge. And yet, their love language, if we can call it that, is mutual exasperation. Cranked to 11. It's The Bachelor if all the contestants are already tired and the roses are just empty solo cups. There are side characters, too. The weekend regulars. A guy named Rusty who sounds like he sells stolen lawnmowers. A woman named, let us call her Lacey, who has the laugh of a party clown and the ethics of a raccoon. They roll in on Fridays and roll out by Sunday afternoon, leaving a breadcrumb trail of Marlboro filters and conspiracy theories. And the thing is, it's fascinating, the way gravity works in a small orbit. I used to think drama was an accident, like a flare-up, random and rare. With Jeff and Jen, drama is not an accident. It's a household appliance. It's always plugged in. You don't always turn it on, but at any moment, anyone might bump the dial and, there goes your night. I know what you're thinking. This is cruel. And listen, I agree with you. I'm not above shame. I do my ablutions in shame daily. There's a voice in my head that says, you're being a creep. Then the cicadas go off, there's a pause, and Jen launches into a monologue about dignity and missing Adderall, and that voice is suddenly very, very quiet. Here's what it looks like when it's showtime. It's dusk. My yard has that suburban glow where every porch light makes the bugs look like snow. I crack a beer, something hoppy enough to feel intentional, cheap enough to be honest. I go out on the deck with a throw blanket I never wash. I take the same seat, far corner, angled so I can see their light through the trees, but not enough for them to see me. Privacy cosplay. It starts with little things. The scrape of metal chairs. Someone fiddling with Bluetooth. There's always a moment where you hear Jeff say, "So anyway," and you know the prequel is over. Then Jen laughs. Loud, bright, a flare. They flirt, sort of. They reminisce about the time they almost did something. The argument always grows out of a seed of almost. Almost got a job. Almost moved. Almost quit. Almost paid the deposit on that thing. Almost had that dog trained. 15 minutes in, someone brings up respect. And buddy, respect is gasoline in that campfire. It shifts fast. The beats are predictable. Denial, accusation, counteraccusation, affront, the litany of past sins, the witness testimony. Ask Rusty, he was there. Financial grievance. You spent my money on your dumb, and then a long, windy pause. The legal consultation. You can't prove nothing. The moral high ground. I've changed. The grim prophecy. I'm leaving. Then the preemptive custody battle. You ain't taking the dog. I tell myself I listen because I'm a concerned citizen. Because if it escalates, I'll call. And that's true. I would. I have. But also, I'm a human being with a gossip brain. I ride the wave. And then comes my favorite part, the degradation of grammar. At some point, every fight hits the vowel soup stage, where words become sounds. What I had talking about, I didn't take your stuff, I just drank a little. I'm fine, Eavesdropping. It's like listening to jazz if jazz was performed by two raccoons fighting over a sandwich. Of course, there are variations. One time, Jeff pivoted into a philosophical argument about free will. He said, "Ain't nobody makes me do nothing," which is a classic for the ages. Jen countered with an equally devastating, "You are a puppet to your dumb decisions." The crowd, by which I mean me and a very judgmental raccoon on my fence, went wild. And this goes on. It swells. It crests. It breaks. The other night, well, the other night, as a unit of time in the Jeff and Jen cinematic universe is flexible, but let's say, recently, Jen climbed up on her soapbox. She announced a rebrand. The energy shifted. You could feel it. She had the energy of someone who bought a personal planner and a set of gel pens. She said, and I quote, "I am a changed woman." Oh yes, we are doing it. I settled in. She said she's turning over a new leaf. She had phrases, rehearsed phrases, like she was trying lines out for a new character. New Jen. New Jen does not take Jeff's shit anymore. New Jen is done with the lies. New Jen will not be gaslit about the difference between took my stuff and borrowed my stuff. Because when she came home, Jeff was nodding off on the couch with a mouth like a catfish, and that is not vodka sleep. New Jen sees the light. New Jen is strong. New Jen is independent. New Jen has a vengeance playlist. Jeff, bless him, tried to meet the moment. He attempted contrition in the way a toddler attempts algebra. "What I talking about?" he says. "I didn't take your stuff. I just drank a lil. I'm fine. You're." And then just a descending scale into blender noises. He tried to anchor the conversation to a simpler, stupider shore. "I'm fine," being the national anthem of men who are not fine. Jen, undeterred, threatened to leave. She likes to test the emergency exit in every conversation. It's a habit I get. It's rational. In a way, hold the door in your hand. Feel the weight. She says it like an incantation. "I don't need you. I don't need this. I'm leaving." And that's when, like Cinderella at midnight, Jeff's enthusiasm snaps into focus. Suddenly, he's awake. Suddenly, there's strategy. "If you leave," he says, "I'm taking the dog. And I'll go live with my mom." Let's unpack that for 1 second. The dog, let's call him Meatball, is the only truly innocent party in this Shakespearean mess. He is a stubby little creature with the posture of a footstool and the soul of a saint. He wanders the yard like a hungover Roomba. The idea that Jeff would weaponize Meatball in a domestic Cold War? Diabolical. Effective. Evil genius. This was a 2-hour tango. A push-pull, a "you ain't gonna," a "yes I am." And here's where it gets surreal. After 2 hours of righteous fury, of leaf turning and independence, something happens. The molecules in the air rearrange. The volume drops. The words get longer with more syllables than they can carry. And suddenly, the monologues get mellow. There is a pause, a quiet, the clink of glass, the hiss of something. The thunderstorm pulls back like a tide. And then, as if a switch flipped, Jeff and Jen begin to solve landscaping. "We could cut down some trees," Jeff says. "Yeah," says Jen. "Those ones. The ones that block our view." Friends, they were pointing at my trees. There is a particular kind of sobriety you get when you hear two people who own exactly 0% of your property planning a precision forestry operation on your property. I was suddenly very, very awake. I leaned forward like a meerkat. "We'll just do it," Jen says. "At night." "Yeah," says Jeff, "like Halloween. As if trespassing is seasonal." There's a moment where I consider becoming a full-time vigilante. Cape, mask, a leaf blower. But then they get distracted by a playlist debate, 90s country versus things with bass, and the chainsaw fantasy dissolves. For now, for now, I file it under keep an eye on that, which is a file in my mind with a million tabs. Keep an eye on that. Keep an eye on his cousin who parked parallels by Braille. Keep an eye on Lacey who thinks mailboxes are bulletin boards. Keep an eye on Meatball's gastrointestinal revenge tendencies. The night winds down. They soften, then stumble upstairs. The lights click off. The trees go back to being trees. And I finish my beer, sit a second longer, listening to the hollow in the sound where all that noise used to be. It's like when the refrigerator stops humming and you suddenly realize how loud it was. And I think, I'm a creep. And also, I'll be back tomorrow. Let's talk ethics for a second. I'm not unaware of what this is. Eavesdropping is picking up pennies from the floor of a casino and then writing Yelp reviews about the casino. It feels both small and cosmic. On the one hand, I am literally sitting outside and listening to my neighbors argue about whether mayonnaise is a spice. On the other hand, it's the human experience. The same embarrassments we all have, just louder. There's a code, though. Even creeps have a code. Here's mine. Oh, I don't record. I don't post. I don't shout back. If I'm going to judge you, I'll do it the old-fashioned way, silently and with snacks. Oh, if I see or hear anything that sounds like real danger, I call. I'm nosy, not heartless. I'm not a bystander to harm. Oh, I don't engage. No friendly hellos. No haha. I happen to overhear. There's nothing casual about revealing you are the Greek chorus of someone's life. Oh, I don't go on their side of the trees. The trees are the line. The leaves are the wall. The sound comes through, but I don't. Oh, I do. However, maintain the legalities of property lines like a medieval baron. Boundary stones. Surveys. The sacred geometry of my fence. You can be philosophically messy and legally crisp. That's my brand. The other piece of my code is this. I admit what I am. I admit it. The guilt loses power if it's in the light. So when my friend Claire's like, how do you know Rusty's back with that woman who hates denim? I say, I heard it. When she does the face. Oh, the face. I shrug and say, I'm the archive. In every friend group, there's a person who keeps the photos, a person who organizes the trips, and a person who knows what the neighbors yelled last Tuesday. We are a village. What I've learned is that, even in a nice neighborhood, the feral breaks through. People think money polishes you. It doesn't. It just makes your problems better landscaped. You can have a 3-car garage and still be on the porch, arguing about whether a dog knows betrayal. I live near a Whole Foods and an artisanal axe-throwing bar, and yet, upstairs from that garage, human nature is committing a full-contact sport.
Weeknights are the Tahanda, Jeff and Jen doing their ritual dance.
Weekends, though. Weekends are for guest stars.
The front door sticks just a little, and you can hear it when Rusty arrives.
He always announces himself like he's entering a ring. Woo. The cigarette mosaic forms at his feet like a shrine.
He has opinions. Rusty's primary ideology is that every problem can be solved by either letting it ride or calling my cousin. He believes in bootstraps and also that his uncle invented Velcro.
Lacey comes later. Lacey's laugh can peel paint. She is a tornado of compliments.
Oh my good babe, I love your hair. Who did your hair? Is that new?
Also, your dog looks so skinny. Is he okay?
Her energy is, how do I say this, pharmaceutical. She brings drama like a potluck dish. It's warm. You don't know what's in it. There's always too much. They talk in footnotes. Ever notice that? People like them talk in footnotes. The story's always breaking in the middle, referencing a different story, and by the time you catch up, you've forgotten the main plot. So anyway, I told her no, not her. The other her, the one from the birthday, well, anyway, she said Rusty was the one with the thing, no the other thing. And yet, the mosaic emerges. Someone owes someone money.
Someone else made a threat in a Walmart parking lot.
There's an unreturned weed eater that has become a legend.
An accusation about stealing my brand of soda, which sounds tiny, but is actually a personal betrayal, because brands are identity and cold caffeinated beverages are the currency of their realm.
The best weekend I ever heard was the night of the lawnmowers. Picture this, a flaky, stagnant heat.
Rusty's truck rattles in so loud it scares the finches. He unloads 2 lawnmowers like a magician pulling rabbits out of his hat. They're mismatched, suspiciously shiny in some places and suspiciously dull in others.
I'm already intrigued. We're gonna flip these, Rusty announces. Flip lawnmowers. Sure, dream big. Jeff says he knows a guy. Jen says she knows 3 guys and all of them are unreliable. But one owes her a favor because she babysat his emotions once.
Lacey says she'll post on Marketplace using her good account, which is terrifying in a way I can't articulate.
Within 20 minutes, a debate breaks out about the ethics of a spark plug. The ethics.
My neighbors are discussing, at length, whether it is morally shady to swap a brand new spark plug for the old one before completing a sale. A law school could form around this conversation. They make cases. They cite precedent.
They reference the guy who sells generator parts at the flea market like he has a Supreme Court justice. Meanwhile, the mowers don't start. Jeff pulls. Nothing. Rusty pulls. Nothing. Jen kicks.
It starts briefly, then dies. Like a melodramatic opera singer. Lacey films, cackling.
Someone shouts, "Choke it."
Someone else shouts, "Don't choke it." That's how it died last time. The dog barks.
A neighbor to houses down yells, "Some of us have jobs."
Which is objectively funny because it is Saturday evening, and none of these people are employed in any traditional sense of the word.
It is, truly, outstanding theatre. I watch like it's Wimbledon.
The crescendo arrives when a potential buyer arrives early. He is cautious, sunglasses indoors cautious.
He looks at the mower like it said something rude to his sister. He asked 3 reasonable questions in a suspicious tone. Rusty answers with the confidence of a TED Talk and the accuracy of a rumor. They start it. It sputters, dies. They blame the altitude, which, to be clear, is not a factor in this suburb unless you're a bird.
Somehow, miraculously, a sale occurs. For cash. Everyone is jubilant.
They celebrate by fighting about how to split $35. And here's the quiet truth beneath the noise. These are people living in a permanent crisis, papered over with cheap thrills and small crimes.
They are broke, and not just money broke. Their routine broke, principle broke, mirror broke.
And sometimes, when the shouting ends and the cans are empty and Rusty's truck rattles away, there's a soft little moment where Jeff says, "We're gonna be okay," and Jen says nothing. And I sit there on my deck, and I feel that nothing spread across the yard like fog. I keep coming back to the trees, the thin screen of trunks and leaves between their world and mine. It's a metaphor, obviously. I hear everything, and I see nothing. I don't know what their faces look like when they apologize. I don't know how they hold each other when the storm is over. I don't know if the dog sleeps at their feet or on the couch. The trees are merciful like that. They keep me from being too human about it. They keep me safe and a little cruel. Because if I really saw them, I might put down my beer and walk over with a casserole and some boundaries. And then this whole ecosystem would collapse. The watchers would become the watched.
The chorus would step on stage and forget its lines.
I'm not proud,
but I am honest.
I'm the nosy neighbor. tuned to their frequency.
I don't root for their downfall. I don't root for their success either. I root for
tonight's episode to end without broken glass.
And if it ever sounds like it won't, if the pitch changes, if the tenor darkens, that's when I go from lurker to witness.
I will call.
I have called.
I will keep calling.
There's a difference between entertainment and emergency, and I know it in my bones.
For now, it's summer. The air is thick and sweet. The deckboards are warm under my feet.
Somewhere, a bottle rolls and comes to rest with a hollow clink. Jeff and Jen's light flickers on, and there it is, the opening credits.
The season continues. I take my seat.
It starts with a trip to the hardware store. I don't see it, but I know the sound of a new tool when I hear it. The manly grunt, the ceremonial unpacking, the sacred reading of half a manual.
The next night, there's a test rev, a cough, a whine. Rusty's voice. Don't flood it.
It's like a two-stroke dirt bike, which is a sentence that should trigger a neighborhood evacuation alert.
I am on the deck, fully caffeinated.
I have my phone out, not to film, but because 911 is 3 taps away.
The trees are very still, like they're listening too. Jeff, we'll wait till like 2. Jen, 2 is late, babe.
People sleep at 2. Rusty. Exactly. Lacey, God bless her chaotic contribution, goes. Babe, trees are public if the branches are on your side. This is not, and I cannot stress this enough, how property law works. They workshop the caper like screenwriters. Entry point, exit plan, alibi. They discuss headlamps. They talk about wearing quiet shoes. At one point, Jeff suggests putting socks over the chainsaw muffler like it's a suppressor in a video game.
I am learning new forms of fear.
Midnight hits.
The night deepens. A hush.
Then, a quick referee choke silence. My whole body goes rigid. Meatball barks once, offended by the acoustic. Jen hisses. Not yet, idiot. I exhale for the first time in 3 minutes. And then, miracle of miracles, the universe does me a favor. A slow roll of headlights sweeps the street.
A sheriff's cruiser crawls by, windows down, summer boredom on patrol.
The chainsaw telepathically senses authority and goes dead as a stone.
Feet shuffle, cans hush, voices swallow themselves. The cruiser rolls on, the night resets, and something shifts.
The adrenaline drains.
Jeff announces he's too tired, man. Jen declares they need a better plan, which is true and also blessed.
Rusty says he knows a guy who lines do it for a case and a half. They table it.
The trees live another day. I put my phone down and realize my hand is shaking. The line between entertainment and emergency is porcelain thin.
That was a hairline crack.
A few days later, there's a peace offering in the form of chaos.
Meatball the dog, ambassador of all things dumb and pure, slips the leash of fate and barrels into my yard at noon like a bowling ball with a tongue. I'm out back pretending to do yard work, which is to say, holding tools and thinking about sandwiches. Meatball is punting and thrilled to be alive. He beelines to my herb garden, which, granted, is only technically a garden and more spiritually a collection of plants I bought when I was optimistic.
He sniffs the basil like an art critic.
He circles. He squats. I freeze, remembering the previous diplomatic missive. And then Meatball's eyes meet mine.
We have a rapport, me and Meatball.
We're veterans of the same war.
I say softly, buddy. He pauses. He resettles. He chooses a patch of mulch instead.
It's like watching a tiny moral victory in a tiny dog body. I clip my spare leash on him. He's agreeable, which is to say, he's a sack of warm flour that walks. I march him to the property line. I do not cross it. I call out, hey.
Meatball wandered. The trees rustle.
There's a scramble.
Jen appears at the top of the stairs, hair in a crisis band.
Oh my god. Meatball, you little asshole, she coos.
Thank you, she calls to me, voice cautious, searching my silhouette for hostility.
I keep it neutral.
Diplomatic. No worries. I do not add. Please don't chainsaw my maples.
She waves, embarrassed and grateful.
The curtain lifts half an inch.
We are two humans with opposite hobbies, connected briefly by a dog who can't aim. That night, the arguments are softer. They talk about money with a little less performative rage.
New Jen makes an appearance, less banner waving. More tired woman doing dishes. Jeff apologizes in a minor key. I'm not saying the dog stopped a war. I'm saying sometimes the treaty comes with a wag. I'm not an HOA person by temperament.
I believe in lawn freedom. But after the chainsaw incident proposed, I attend a monthly circus. It's in a clubhouse that smells like drywall and sugar cookies. Everyone's wearing their good sandals. There is a slide deck about fences. It's riveting, if you're a fence. Halfway through a heated debate about whether mailbox flags can be fun colors, the door opens and in walk Jeff and Jen. I didn't know renters came to these. Apparently, their landlord sent them as emissaries because citations have accrued like barnacles.
Late night noise. Unsecured trash. A rumor about a fire pit that doubled as a meth sauna. Jeff looks like his shirt owes back taxes. Jen is in sunglasses indoors, which is a vibe.
The board chair, a woman named Charlene whose haircut could foreclose on your house, clears her throat and says, "We're so glad you're here." She is not glad. The room leans forward the way rooms do when a story arrives.
Jeff opens with a speech about respecting the community. Jen follows with a plea for understanding. It's not entirely terrible.
Then someone in the back, a man who once measured my grass with a ruler, says, "We've all heard the yelling." Another says, "The dog." Another says, "The chainsaw." Heads swivel.
Jen bristles. New Jen is replaced by Battle Jen. "We have a right to live," she says.
"We're not hurting anyone." Charlene taps a pen like a metronome of judgment.
Jeff mutters something about hetters. They air thins. And then, unexpectedly, I speak.
"I don't plan it."
It just happens like a sneeze.
I say. Noise carries Weird over by the garage. This is true.
And it's been better lately. Also true. For the last 48 hours. A few heads tilt.
Charlene stares at me like I've defected to the enemy.
Maybe I have. Maybe the trees turned me into Switzerland.
The board compromises. A warning instead of a fine. A pamphlet on community expectations changes hands, heavy with passive aggression. Jeff nods.
Jen sighs. They leave with a cocktail of relief and resentment.
I leave with the peculiar adrenaline you get from defending people you've judged for sport.
On the way out, in the parking lot, Jen catches my eye just for a blink.
There's something like, "Thanks." Or maybe I invented that to feel like a person.
It's bound to happen. One night, the pitch changes. It's late later than I like to be invested. The air is brittle.
No guests, just Jeff and Jen. And the particular hush that means something old has been pulled out and set on the table.
I hear crying. Not the performative kind. The kind that makes you smaller. Jen is saying, "I can't do this anymore." And it's not a threat. It's a surrender. Jeff is quiet in a way that makes me nervous. Men like Jeff are very rarely quiet for long, unless they've lost language or hope. My body moves before my brain.
I stand. My hand is on the doorknob.
I'm an inch away from crossing the line. I drew in the dirt and the oak and the ritual.
I imagine knocking. I imagine saying,
"What?"
"Hi, I'm your anonymous audience member who knows your greatest hits. Would you like a glass of water and the number of a counselor?" It's absurd.
And yet, I hover there, a ghost in my own doorway.
The crying ebbs.
Jeff says, "Okay, okay." The fight does not melt. It cools. A chair scrapes. The fridge opens. Ice clatters. "We're gonna be okay," he says, that same fragile refrain. And I step back, my heartbeat trying to outrun itself.
I don't go.
I return to my chair, chastened by my almost bravery, grateful for the trees that took the choice away. You knew it was coming. The night the entertainment curdled. It starts like a normal episode. The cast is small. The peers are many. The topic is money, which is their Mount Doom. Voices rise as they do. But there's a hard edge this time. Words land with thuds.
I hear a crushed glass, not plate.
A bark meatball panicked.
A word from Jen that snaps like a bone. Stop, not theatrical.
Not dramatic. Command. Fear. I am on my feet and moving. Phone in hand. The call is muscle memory. I give the address. I say the words you have to say to flip the switch from turn down the noise to come now. I step to the property line, no farther visible. Phone light on. The universal beacon of the concerned bystander. I don't shout. I don't interfere. I am not a hero. I'm a witness with a boundary and a pulse. The sirens are quick closer than usual. Maybe the gods were bored. 2 cars, then 3. The show acquires a new audience with badges. The porch becomes a stage flooded with blue light. Voices modulate into the tones we all use when authority arrives. Sincere, confused, sorry, sorry, sorry. The story, as it unfolds in fragments, is messy and boring, like most real emergencies. No one was hit. Something was thrown. A glass shattered.
Meatball cut his poor miner, but bloody, and that made everything look worse than it was.
Jen is shaken, furious at the universe and the bottle and herself.
Jeff is tight-lipped and red-eyed. The officers separate them, do the dance, make notes, give options.
Someone bandages Meatball with a dish towel that used to say live, laugh, love. They leave with a warning and a pamphlet, because America loves pamphlets almost as much as it loves problems. The blue lights fade. The crickets reassert themselves, indignant at the interruption, and I am left on my deck, vibrating, wanting to cry for people I don't know. The line was thin tonight. The line held. The days after are subdued. There's a hush in the apartment over the garage, like a hospital room. Rusty doesn't come by. Lacey posts a cryptic Facebook status about fake friends and a picture of a wolf. Jeff goes somewhere in the mornings. Work? I can't say. Jen sits outside alone sometimes on the stairs, talking into her phone with a voice like sand.
Meatball wears a little booty on his paw and refuses dignity.
And here's what I learn in the quiet. I don't miss the shouting. I miss the certainty. The soundtrack of other people's chaos is a convenient way to drown out your own. In the new silence, my thoughts are loud.
I hear myself think things like, maybe I should be kinder, and maybe I should get a hobby that isn't other people's lives, and maybe I should check the survey states again, just in case. One evening, a week later, the light is soft like forgiveness. I'm on the deck, not hunting for noise, just
there. The screen door opens. Jen steps out onto their stairs with a bowl. She clinks a spoon against it. Meatball appears, delighted for dinner. Jeff steps out too, moving gingerly, like he's walking around a bruise he can't see. They don't fight. They talk about tacos. They talk about a tire with a slow leak. They talk about a job. Maybe. It's not triumphant. It's not a montage. It's just the smallest, most human sound. 2 people trying again. Not because love conquers all, but because habits are thick and hope is stubborn. And I sit there, and I do not take a victory lap for my restraint, and I do not assign them a narrative.
I just let them be, and I let the night be.
The trees don't move. The air doesn't ask for anything. The show is off. Or maybe it's turned into something gentler, and that's fine. Season break. Cliffhanger. None. I finish my beer. I rinse the can. I leave it out for recycling in the morning because I am, at heart, a rule follower with a complicated hobby. And before I go inside, I look at the dark line of the fence and think, boundaries work until they don't. Tonight they worked. If it ever sounds like the storm is coming back, I'll be on my deck, the patio cryptid, keeping watch. Nosy, not heartless.
Curious, not cruel. And if it stays this quiet for a while, I won't complain. I'll let them have their peace.
Maybe I'll even find my own.